Hello! So today I'm just going to make a video to show you how to make this Stim toy here. It's a fun one to deal with for when you're really stressed out or anxious or just bored. It works well in a variety of ways to play with. So what you'll need to make this is a can of Play-Doh and some balloons, just normal party balloons. I typically use 3. I found that holds up best for squeezing it and making it last a long time. And some kind of soft fabric if you want. I got this, it was a dress originally that I got at a thrift store. Very cheap, so it's a good way to go find some fabric. I just usually go through the racks and touch everything until I find something that feels good. So the first thing you're going to want to do is blow up your balloon to let it stretch out a bit. And then let it deflate. And then you can take your Play-Doh if it wants to come out of the container. Normally it works better than this. But, okay, I'll just take pieces out at a time. So you're going to want to try to get your fingers into the opening of the balloon and get the whole neck open so that you can fit a few fingers in there. And then this is where it gets tricky. You gotta use your fingers to pull it open and push in pieces of the Play-Doh. So I usually have to do this in a few chunks to get everything to fit inside. And you just keep putting more pieces in until the whole can is in. If a whole can of Play-Doh's too much, feels too heavy for your hands, is bigger than you want it, then just use however much Play-Doh you want. I really like the weight of the Play-Doh. When I'm tossing it back and forth, it's really calming as like a pressure stim. Okay, got almost all the Play-Doh now. Okay, so once you get all the Play-Doh in there, you can release your fingers, which will probably be somewhat trapped inside there. And then I usually try to make sure that any extra air is out. You can see right now that it got some air stuck in there, so I find if I blow it up again, it lets it resettle and you get rid of the extra bumps that were on there. And just squish it a bit, try to make sure there's nothing left in there, because the bubbles can get really annoying if they get left in. And then you'll need to tie it off. And then comes the other tricky part of trying to get it to fit inside another balloon. So we're going to blow up the next balloon. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing basically. We're going to try and stretch this open and then squish the other balloon inside of the new balloon. Okay. Once you manage that, again, you're going to need to squish out air bubbles because you're probably going to have some new ones. So squeeze out any of the remaining air. Maybe roll it around in your hands a few times. And then once you think you have all the air out, you're going to tie it up again. which gets harder to do each time you add a balloon. I'm sure 4 balloons would probably work better than 3 balloons, but I don't think I'd ever manage to get that tied. And I seem to have... Oh, no. Here we go. Okay, my 3rd balloon, so same process again. And so you want to stretch it open like this, and then try to squish the other balloon inside. Okay. And for the final time, try to squish out any extra air. You can see mine got really folded up like that. Okay. And then you're going to just tie it off again, which is probably going to be really hard this time. Okay, so I have this tied off, and this works great as a Stim toy as is. You can just kind of leave it as a balloon if you want. It's really fun to dig your nails into, especially if you're somebody who has issues with body-focused repetitive behaviors. I end up digging my nails into my skin a lot, and this really helps me. It seems to simulate the feeling of digging into myself, which helps me not do that and avoid those behaviors. So this works really well as is, but I found that I could get better use out of it by adding something soft, because I also really like to rub my hands on soft fabrics. That can calm me down when I'm not feeling well, but I can still dig my fingers in and it still feels good if I need to do that. So the next step is to take whatever soft fabric you found and find somewhere in this fabric that you want to use. Depending on what you find, whether it's a sheet or a piece of clothing or what, you can just figure out where in that you want to cut from. And you're going to want to take your balloon and put it inside of the fabric to see how it will bunch up around there. And then once you have it inside, try squishing it. The first time I made one, I didn't do this, and I ended up putting the fabric on so tight that I couldn't actually squish the ball at all, which was not very fun. And so once you have enough fabric around it that you can move it around, you're going to take some scissors and just cut the fabric. Because it's going to be something for you to just play with, don't really worry about it being a nice even cut or anything. Let it just kind of bunch up around. And then put that off to the side for a minute. And you'll need a needle and some thread. Probably should have gotten this set up before I started the video. But so take some thread. I just actually managed to thread a needle on like the first go basically, which doesn't really ever happen, so that's pretty cool. Let me get this tied off here. Okay, so now that I have that tied off, I'm going to take this, and I don't really do any fancy sewing here. I just stick the needle through a few layers and then loop back to before where the thread came out, go under and loop through, and I just keep doing that all the way around. So the thread came out here, I'm going to go back a little bit and go through a few layers like that. so it comes out, and keep going around in a circle, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're back where you started, and you just keep going around and around. So, and just put another stitch through. And sometimes what I do is I wrap it around where the center is a couple times and pull it tight, and then you can stitch around the loop you just put in. Get the needle to go under like that, and do that a couple times. And that seems to really hold things well, so then it can go like that. And I'm going to just put a few more stitches in just to really cement it. Obviously, this is a rather rudimentary way to be sewing this up, so if you have more experience and no better way to do this, definitely take a better, more secure route with this. But this seems to have held pretty well. I end up breaking the ball inside the fabric long before this breaks, because even with the three balloons on it, I still end up breaking through with my nails eventually. So then just finish off, get your knot in there to tie things off. Okay, so then I can clip the extra thread, and I've got a new Stim toy. And the whole cost of it, I got a 4-pack of Play-Doh for like $4. You can get a slightly smaller can for like 50 cents at Walmart. And the balloons, I got a pack of like 25 for about $1, and I got the shirt, this dress actually, for like $5, and I've managed to make several different Stim toys out of it already. So it's a really cheap Stim toy to make, and though it is a little difficult at points, not too hard to make, and really useful. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have fun with yours.